Good morning, everyone. I am Jonathan J. Reinhardt from Wargaming Recon. Welcome to the pandemic coffee break. Today's Tuesday, May 5th. Happy Cinco de Mayo, everyone. So, we want to welcome all of you to today's pandemic coffee break. And I want to, first of all, say if you are watching this live, whether you're on Facebook or on YouTube or wherever, please leave a comment to let us know that you're here watching live. Say hi, tell us what's going on. We'd love to hear from you. And this way we know that you're here and you're watching live, that you're one of the first people to see today's pandemic coffee break. So I am drinking my usual Earl Grey decaf tea with cream and Splenda in my Tim Hortons mug. Love me some Earl Grey tea. Hope you have a favorite beverage as well with you. And I am one of those lucky enough to work from home. So just like when I am at work, I'm taking my coffee break. And I'm choosing to spend it with all of you. Now, today we have some really cool stuff that we're going to be talking about. We have some hobby things that we want to cover. I got a cool package in the mail of some stuff to show, some new gear that came. I feel like you've been on this journey with me with some of the gear. And then we're going to go ahead and answer and address some questions and concerns from our audience here, from some of you, regarding our editorial integrity, standpoints, views, and how we our positions about reviews and covering products and places and things. So thought it would be good to do that in one of these pandemic coffee breaks. So first of all, let's just go to the chat and call out some of those of you who are here live. So hi, Mark, Revenge of the Fifth, indeed. And hello, Philip. Thank you for joining us. I actually had a conversation with a British expat yesterday about tea. And they were saying that they don't really like Earl Grey, but that they love to drink tea. And so I was like, well, of course, I'm going to ask you about tea because you're British and I need to find out. And I was trying to find out what kind of tea they drink. And they're like, well, tea. I guess the closest would be English breakfast tea. And I thought that was really funny. So then I had to quiz them basically about how they prepare their tea. And I learned that for them anyway, that they boil the water for the tea. They pour it over a tea bag and let it steep for a while. Then they remove the tea bag, and at that point, they add milk or sugar if they so choose as well, and stir and drink. And I was like, oh, well, I do somewhat similar. I tend to take the hot water, I pour it over the tea bag, and then I pour in milk and everything all at once. And they're like, oh, but you can't, you got to wait before you put the milk in because otherwise it dilutes the tea and it ruins, they didn't say ruins, but that it dilutes the tea and it impacts the flavor. So I thought that was rather interesting about that. And I don't know if that's true, but I'm going to try it that way. Usually I'm just in a rush that I do how I do, and I've gotten used to it. And I tend to actually honestly do it in a Keurig, not sponsored by Keurig. And man, imagine if we were sponsored by Keurig and Green Mountain, how much money we'd get. But that goes into today's topic, doesn't it? Mm. So before we dive into that topic, because that's going to be a little bit of a lengthy one, I want to cover a couple things. First of all, I want to say that we got a package and it came from Things in the Basement, included some stuff that I'm not going to show you today, but a couple pieces I am going to show you. So one is, it came with a replacement part for my hay cart here. And I had mentioned about the front piece that the instructions are incorrect, and they are. So this is what I had ended up with. And you can see here, because of the etching and everything, that this actually is upside down. And so I got a replacement whole sheet for that front part for the yoke, and I put it together, and you can see it is now correctly. So etching's on the top, the circles are on the top now instead of the peg. So then when you take it and you put it in here, it actually fits perfectly, and then it can turn and everything. So now all I need to do is I need to paint this. I need to get this in here. It doesn't glue. You don't glue this because you want this to turn, and then glue the wheels on and stuff. And then I'll probably do one paint over this because you might not be able to see, but there's like some edging here that didn't get covered. So I'll do this one whole thing, and then this hay cart from the Russian village will be done as well, and that's really exciting. So that's a cool replacement piece. The hay cart, I believe, was a review piece, a review product that they sent to us, and it's nice that we got that replacement. But I have to say, it doesn't matter whether we got it for a review copy or not, but that um, anything you would buy from Things in the Basement, if something got wrong with the kit or messed up, they make things right. So you just contact them over there at thingsinthebasement.com and they fix it. Philip says, Earl Grey is a devil's brew. My wife drinks that, and I like breakfast tea from Kenya. And Mark says, the English never rush the tea. That's true. But that's why they have tea time. So another thing that came, this is a review copy. It's going with, and actually the timing was great because this is going to be going with the covered bridge inspired by Sleepy Hollow that all of you voted on for me to work on next. Shingles. And this might seem like a silly thing to be excited about. I know I could make these myself, but let's be honest, I can't make these by myself. Someone else could, but I can't. So these came. They're nice and thin. You get a ton of them on the sheet, far more than I'm going to need, actually. So these will just get put aside and can use them for other stuff. And it's kind of handy because when you order a sheet of these, you kind of wonder, like, how many do you really need? And how many sheets should you get for, like, how many kits or whatever? So I'll have a general idea. These are going to be longer than what I'll need for the covered bridge. So I believe I will be cutting them at some point, which is okay because they're thin enough that you could cut. And I'm just going to glue them on and do some roofing, which would be kind of snazzy and a lot of fun. So I want to thank York Bender over from Things in the Basement for sending that. And there's some other stuff that I'm not showing you today. I'm going to make you wait and show you later on in this week. We also got a piece of kit here. So this is my fancy Canon EOS 80D DSLR. Shoots in 1080p, not 4K, but that's okay. I don't need 4K. 1080p high. I got multiple lenses. And this right here, this weird looking thing, is that replacement arm. So I had mentioned that we got something cool. It's a newer magic arm, and then I had to return it because it wouldn't work with the microphone. So this is what I ended up ordering instead. It's a Cowboy Studio something. And basically it slots into your shoe here, cold shoe, and you just tighten it down, and then it expands it. So it gives me a shoe here, one up here, and then also one here. I like it a lot. My one problem is, as you can see, it's the build quality is a little weird. It's a little wobbly. It doesn't wobble so much this way, but it does wobble this way, which means I'm going to be a little limited on what I put. Because if I put something heavy here, it's just going to do this. And so, like with the audio, for example, if that's bouncing around, you might hear that in the mic, which isn't great. And then if it was a light, you might get weird lighting going on. So you really want this to be stable. I am going to keep it just because I don't want to be sending stuff back and forth all the time. And it's a pain in the butt. But we're going to see how it goes. I'm hoping it's going to work out. And I'm going to do some testing with it. I'm actually waiting for a light to come, which I'll end up putting up here. An LED panel light. And it'll go and we'll just see how it is. And I'll take some video and see what happens. And if I like it, then I will keep it. But if not, then that arm is going back in time to before it arrived here. Now, let's get into a meaty topic here, and one maybe that you weren't really expecting, but please stay through to the end because I'm also going to go over some more stuff with Let's RollCon at the end after I get through this meaty bit here. So I was watching some YouTube videos recently, and there's a channel I really like called Lanas Tech Tips. He's a Canadian, and he does a lot of computer builds, a lot of Windows kind of stuff, and he works you through all the hardware and everything. And he has a large team who helps him to create YouTube videos. And so they do a lot of videos for many channels. They upload new videos every single day. They're really well shot and edited and produced and everything. And he has something like 28 people there at his company, which is insane. And he tends to come under fire, him and his whole channel, as being a shill for a certain company. And for those of you who aren't aware of what the allegation is that basically he gets paid to just say good things about a company. And it turns out in Canada, first of all, he doesn't do it. But it turns out in Canada that even if he did do it, that's not entirely against the law, according to what he says. I'm not a lawyer, so I can't speak more than what he had said. But according to him, that's not entirely against the law, but it is against American law. So whereas they do a lot of, like half of their audience is American, they would get into some trouble with the FTC. Now we are in America here down at Oregon and Recon. We're an American entity, and we cannot, and we do not hide review copies of stuff. We do not pretend reviews are anything other than what they are. We do not say that something is not an ad when it's a paid ad. We are very clear about all of this, but there has been some communication from people in the past, kind of wondering, some asking and some not asking so nicely, about how we are covering things and what companies might think about coverage we give if it's anything less than 110%, 210% wonderful. So I thought I'd take some moments to talk about our editorial beliefs here at War Game Recon, and also some of the money stuff that supports it. I'm not going to go into any actual monetary amounts, but I will show you some percentages and things like that. So you can kind of get a general idea about where stuff comes from. So here at Wargaming Recon, when we first began, we bought every single thing we talked about on the show, whether it was a podcast. Well, back then it was only the podcast. But if we wanted to talk about a game, or we wanted to talk about a set of rules or paints or whatever, we bought it all. And part of that is because as a new entity, no one's going to just give you stuff to cover. No one's going to give you a review copy. No one's going to say, hey, just take this. No one's going to lend it to you, because you're not, and I hate this word, but you're not an influencer. So you're not an entity, a person, a place, a thing that has people really following them, or can get an audience to do anything. And a lot of people who want to do what we do start out that way, and so they build up and they'll start and they buy all their own product and they do all their own stuff. And I'm talking with my hands and knocking over cameras. Let's move that. And so they'll do that, and a lot of them will continue to do that because they feel that really removes any potential questions about motivations for why they say what they do or why they do what they do when it comes to talking about a product or a thing or whatever. And we've done that for a very long time. But then as time progressed, unfortunately, we realized, and me in particular, that we could not afford to spend the money to do that and to do the coverage that all of you want and deserve. So we do a wide array of topics. Of course, it's all gaming and things like that. But when we go to events, if we're staying over at a convention, we pay for the hotel room, we pay for our food, we pay for travel. So to cover a lot of the conventions and events gets really expensive, which means we have to say no to a lot of them. And some of them, we work out arrangements where, like, we'll get into the event for free or at a reduced price because we're going to go and we want to cover it. But like, there's all these extra costs that go with it. So like that would really limit what we would do for you. And there's so many games out there. We can't be buying all these games and the minis and the figs and the paints and all this stuff all the time to cover every single thing that we'd like to cover and that you want us to cover. There's a lot of requests for what we do by all of you. And we want to do it. We want to give you the content that you want and that you need and you deserve. And then also when it comes to like equipment and stuff, to give you quality productions, it adds up. Whether it's services, like we're using StreamYard now for streaming, that's several $100s a year, and all these things. Just the money has to come from somewhere. Now, we're lucky enough now that we have a team of about a dozen people. Nobody is paid. Well, almost no one's paid. uh, we have one person who does get some money for some of the work that they do, but generally, I get no money out of this. Adrian gets no money. We make no profit out of any of this. Any money that comes in covers expenses and stuff for what we do here, and it's become difficult. So, what we decided was that we would have to find a way to get money to come in to help keep the show going. So, way back, we started accepting sponsors, where anyone who was willing to pay the price could sponsor us for a season, and that would cover all the podcast episodes. And we'd put like an audio ad in, but we would make sure to really differentiate that. And then we also slowly started integrating other things, like companies could send us stuff for review or give us a discount for a review. And we clearly disclose that it's a review product, like the Hay Cart from Things from the Basement. It's a review copy, it's a review product. And we make a point of saying that. And when we engage in dialogue with these entities, these companies, or whoever, we never, 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 never guarantee favorable coverage. All we promise is we will look at the thing and we will put it on the show if we can. That we're doing this in addition to all our lives as work and families and stuff. And when we can, we'll do this and we'll get it there. If there's some sort of deadline, we'd find that out and we integrate that and bump that up in priority. But we never promise to say good things about a product just because we got it. We never promise that. We say we'll talk about it, but we will never, 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 never guarantee favorable coverage. And part of that is we think it's wrong. I believe that we need to be honest, and I want to be honest and forthright with all of you. You are all very important to us. Our relationship with all of you is very, very important. If we guaranteed companies to just say nice things, maybe we'd get more stuff and maybe we'd get more money. And that could be nice, but that would be short term and that would ruin us long term. And it's wrong. And I'm not sure it's legal either. Now, some places do that kind of stuff, but we do not. And there's been some times where people have wondered why we would say anything less than 100% about a product or a thing or a company. And what does the company think? And what does that do to our relationship? And whenever anyone's ever asked me about that, I've always said, we don't guarantee favorable coverage. And the company can think whatever they want to think, but we never promise to say nice things about their product or the company. We don't say anything defamatory. We don't say anything that we can't back up. But if we have an opinion and a belief, we will share it. And that's one of the things that we do. And we think that's one of the reasons why you like us, why you come here for our content and for what we do. Now, I want to show you just a little bit about where the money comes from and where the money goes, because you might be thinking, well, Jonathan's saying this stuff, right? But like those sponsorships and, like review things and all this kind of stuff, like clearly they must have them, right? They must have them. And that's why he's saying this. Well, not so. So let's go. And way back when we started getting alternate revenue, we went to Patreon. Patreon's a way that it's like a PBS model, right? Where those who are your audience can directly support creators, artists, musicians, podcasters, whatever. And so you can see here, again, there's no monetary amounts, but you can see basically the lines go up, which means we got more money that came in going back to what was that, 2015, 2016. And there's been some dips here and there, but then it's kind of gone back down. And when that started happening, we realized we needed an alternate review stream. And this was in addition to sponsorships. By and large, our sponsorships are incredibly lowly priced. And we are in the top 20% of podcasts globally. So what that means is based off our average number of listeners per year, per episode, and all that kind of stuff, there's certain metrics that are used in the podcast industry that kind of give an idea about how much a sponsorship is worth. And I've looked at those over the years and thought, okay, that's fine. And if you're someone big like NPR or whatever, sure, you're going to do that. Or if you're a very wide range audience, yeah, that makes sense. But we talk about tabletop games. So I don't believe anyone really could afford to pay those prices for what we really should be charging. On top of that, I've always wanted to give more than what we get. So that's been a motto here. We try to do as much as possible with as little as possible, so that there's not a whole lot of extra waste that we can cut. And as such, we've kept sponsorship levels for pricing pretty low. So let me show you, in case you've never ever looked at this. I'm going to show you a section of our website where people can get information about sponsorships. So right here, you can see here, we talked about ways that people can sponsor and some of our metrics and some of the places that were really popular and things like that. And so people can sponsor for like a whole year. And it tells you how many simultaneous sponsors we have, our different levels, what we charge. So you can see even at the maximum level, it's $300 a year, which I know isn't cheap, but really for what we're doing, we should honestly be charging probably like $300 an episode. And this gives you a 30-second audio ad at the beginning and end of each episode, and we put a graphical link on our website and things like that. And then we have some other things here for like smaller entities and stuff like for anything like that. And you'll see right here, we have a disclaimer. We reserve the right to refuse to hear messages at our discretion. Will refund the appropriate costs. Other conditions may apply. And that's because we value you. So if we were to truly charge what we should charge for sponsorships, we'd get a lot more money. But again, I want the long-term relationships with these organizations. And we're really picky. We've turned down places who wanted to do a sponsorship where we felt it wasn't a good fit. Let's look at, since we're talking about income, let's look at some of our income. So this is so far for this year. And you can see that because of Patreon money going down and because we wanted to try to test some stuff out, we did a Kickstarter. So Kickstarter accounted for 3/4 of our income so far this year. And I will say sponsorships, which is the next biggest category, is low mainly because we renew sponsorships on a yearly basis, and so most of them haven't kicked in yet for the next renewal. So that will come up some more. Usually, in the past, our sponsorships and our Patreon would be about 50-50 for income. And you'll see here Patreon's really, really low. And that's because the money coming from it has dropped tremendously. We don't get as much. And you can just see some other stuff here. Annual carryover is like any money that's left over, we just carry over to the next year. And things like that. Refunds are, if we bought something and then we had to get money back, like the Magic Arm thing that didn't work, we got that refunded. And then here's the expenses. So this is for this year. And you can see because of the Kickstarter, we've spent a fair bit of money on new equipment because we want to up our game and make things better for you. And we're planning for the future. It's not always going to be like this. Software, web hosting, all that kind of stuff. You see here, review products. These are things that we have to buy. And how little this is, 2%, whereas in the past, it would have been a much higher amount. So we're investing more in the organization. And we're doing this because we want to make what we do better for all of you. So for any of you who may have wondered how we handle review products, what our relationships are like with sponsors and things like that, and advertising, please know you are far more important than any sponsorship, than any ad, than any review copy of anything. None of those things influence how we cover a product. We don't think, oh, so-and-so's a sponsor, so we got to be extra nice to them. We don't do that. If we like a product, we say it. If we don't like a product, we say it as well. And we suggest ways that it can improve or why we don't like it. And we firmly believe that even if we don't like something, someone out there might like it, and that there's probably something good about it. So that's really all there is to say about this. And these kind of questions come up from time, and this is bound to happen because, again, we do accept review products and we do have sponsors and stuff, and we get money from other ways like affiliate programs, like with Amazon or whatever else, and things like that. But this is basically how we operate. We try to be as transparent as possible with all of it. If you have any other questions about it, feel free to send them to us, but I think we kind of covered it as is. So now, before I move on, I'm just going to see if anyone has any questions or comments about anything. Please put them into the chat below, into the comments below. And if not, I want to talk about the Let's Roll convention. Because when I talked about it yesterday, I was showing you some of the game stuff, and it turned out you didn't actually get to see the games things. So I want to show that to you now. So let's go ahead and get that up. And I know some of you have signed up, so thank you. And if you haven't yet, please go to letsrollcon.com and sign up, and you get a free account, and then you register for games. It costs nothing for games. And here are the games that are here. So it starts on May 16th, 2020. That's Saturday at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. A bunch of games that you can pick from. Road to Kamuta. It's Battle Group World War II being done in 15 mil. Explore Crash Spaceship. This one pops up a few times. Brian Higgins. It's using the lasers and feelings rule set. Caesar Skirmish is happening by Chris Rett. That's using Roll20. Zombie Side, another cool one by Rich Borges. We have Mars is a Lie. It's Gasland's game. Battle Cry, being run by Jeff Cornett. That's the board game, 20 mil Civil War board game. And then at noon, we have Mars is a Lie again. We move to the rule set Victoria, which is from Application of Force. So that's an online thing. You'll get access to it. It's being run by Arafon. Battle of Edson's Ridge will also be done. It's Axis and Allies minis run by Dan Eustace. Dan is a great GM. Highly, highly recommend. Johnny Quest and the Eye of Makara. This is a top secret New World Order game being run by my buddy Peter Bryant. So this is a role-playing game if you're into that kind of stuff. At 2 o'clock, you have Shaco 2 being run by Dave Malinsky. So that'd be really cool for people who might want to play that, doing some Napoleonics. Again, Mars is a Lie, so more Gaslands. World of Darkness role-playing game, Troy City Mysteries, being GM by my buddy David Benavides. He's an amazing GM. He's gotten really far into the INGM competition. So this is going to be really cool. He's doing that. Mago's Escape. This is Clash of Spears being run by one of the co-creators of Clash of Spears. So that's really cool. Cube of Death, Mike Kafis, my buddy, is doing that game. It's geek trivia, kind of blended with just like role-play mechanics and stuff. And it's a lot of fun. I love this game. So you'll have a blast with it. At 4 o'clock, we have AD&D with Stefan Picorni from Dwarven Forge. He's going to be using some of his Dwarven Forge pieces from his home. He lives like in a castle. It's amazing. And so this is going to be happening. I'm really super excited about this one. Stefan's a really nice guy too. So you'll have a blast. He goes full immersive with all this, and there's like fog machines and all this. I'm giddy just talking about it. Mars is a Lie again. Another round of Explore Crash Spaceship. At 6 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, you have the game Ultra Combat Normandy, where you get to play with the game author and designer. It's World War II, 28 mil, being run on Roll20. Then we have some In Freedom's Cause from Application of Force. This is a American Civil War game. Arafon is running that. Black Sheep is the name of this game. It's using the Check Your Six rules, run by Rob Rubenhurst. So that's really cool. He's from our team here, Wargame Recon. At 7 o'clock, you have the Osiris Agenda. And this is a Lucky 13 Top Secret New World Order blend by James Carpio, who is a games head honcho guy over at TSR Games. So that's going to be really awesome. Ultra Combat Normandy again. And then Cube of Death, again, with Mike Kafis. Cube of Death is such a great game. Adam Carey, who's a wonderful guy, is running Black Seas, the Warlord Games game as well. So it's a pirate encounter. Chris Rett's also doing another Caesar Skirmish. And then at the bottom of the page, you sign up for your ticket. So you pick what you want. Later times are at the top. Earlier times are at the bottom. You see, oh, Mago's Escape already sold out. Way to go, people. So if you wanted to, I don't know, play with Stefan Picorni, you just pick what ticket. You say, oh, I need 2 tickets, or I need 1 ticket. And you pick out all your other stuff, and then you just go and check out. So that's really cool. And I think that all of you will really like being able to play these things. And Mark says, I saw the documentary about Dwarven Forge. He's brilliant. Yeah, the Dwarven Knot, great documentary. It used to be on Netflix, not on there now, but you can still buy it. I would highly recommend it. Such a good documentary. He doesn't live in that house anymore. He's on the West Coast now, which was kind of sad for me, but because he's so much closer here. But the Dwarven Forge studio is still in New York. And yeah, he's a brilliant guy. So I hope people sign up for that game because it's amazing. And then we have some merch that I want to show you from the convention that you can get. So we have here t-shirts. So there's toddler t-shirts you can get. And with the pricing, there's hoodies, white, black. You can get mugs, other t-shirts, short sleeves for kids. You can pick your sizing. And look at that, sweatshirts and stuff. So this is really cool. And we think people are going to want to buy some merch. So you should check that out. I'm looking at this one here because I think one of my kids would like this. Nice logo, pretty colors. I like this. It's pre-shrunk. You can get it in black. You can get it blue, pink. Here's toddler sizes. So there's some cool stuff there that's happening. And it's pretty snazzy. And did I have another one? Oh, yeah. I don't think I've shown you any of the vendors who are going to be coming. So let me show you some of the vendors. Here we go. So here are some of the vendors. Here's Application of Force. You have Brigade Games, Fighting Hedgehog. They're the ones who made Clash of Spears. Thanks for the Basement, of course. Trilaterum. We Wolf Miniatures. That's pretty cool. We're going to be selling our t-shirts. So if you want any of our cool t-shirts, you can get that. So that's really cool as well. And just all sorts of really neat things there. And then just as we're going a little long, so I am going to wind this down. I want to call attention to something. So I've been talking a lot about equipment that we've been getting and gear and things. And yesterday I talked about getting a new computer and ordering it, a new MacBook Pro. And I just want to give a call out here to someone who's been really, really helpful. And that is Tech Maine. This company is fantastic. And the owner, Larry, is a member of MHWA who puts on Huzzah. And he's been just wonderful to me. He's offered tech help in the past to kind of navigate things. And he's been great for answering questions and stuff to help me configure what the new laptop will be and what kind of equipment to get and everything, just to make sure that I'm getting the best I can without really putting a lot of my own energy into it. So if you go to itechme.com, brings you to this website, and you can see here it covers some of the things, questions that he gets that he can help with. They do in-home and in-office support for stuff, which is really awesome. I love this free 20-minute phone consultations with new customers. You just call that number. And then they offer all these different services here. So they do like small business and in-home stuff. So it talks about what they do here. And generally where they do, it's generally in Maine, but he is able to, kind of help you if you contact him on Facebook or email or whatever. If you have questions about what Apple products to get or how they work together or whatever, he'll do all that sort of stuff. There's some client testimonials. We did a really nice review for him on Facebook, but he hasn't made its way over here. And you can just contact him if you need to. He has a contact for him. So Larry's fantastic. I highly, highly recommend iTech Maine. Please check him out. And I got to say, for all the help that he gave me, didn't cost me a dime. But he offers that 20-minute free consultation to new customers. Please use it because it's great. There's all these new products out there, right? And sometimes it's hard to keep track of what to get and what works with what and all these things, what accessories you need and everything. Like I'm going to be getting, I need to find a way to connect a secondary monitor to my new laptop. And so I have this old Dell monitor that uses a VGA cable, if you can believe it. And so it's connected to my old iMac through a special adapter. But of course, the new computer won't use the same thing. So I'm trying to figure out what do I get and what's the best one. And he's been amazing with it. So huge shout out to Larry. Please check out him and get help if you have any Apple devices, whether it's your phone or whatever, and he will give you a hand on what you need. So thank you all for being with us. Remember, the pandemic will pass. We will get through this. And as with all things in life, listen to the experts, the professionals, the scientists, the doctors, the medical professionals, people who know what they're talking about, not Karen on Facebook, because she is wrong. Do not listen to Karen. Karen is wrong. That's what I have to say. So thank you all very, very much for being with us today. We'll be back again next time with another edition of the Pandemic Coffee Break, and hope that you are well. Please be safe and kind and smart to yourself and to others. Be good. Good enough is good. We will get through this. So thank you, everyone. And until next time, you know the deal. No matter how busy you are, no matter what's going on in your life, no matter how much time you're thinking, I can't wait to get into some shingles. Whoever said they wanted shingles before? I've had shingles. Really painful. Don't get it. It's awful. You know that you need to, you have to keep on gaming.